We'll get started, I
Exactly. Let's
reckon.
get started. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are at the moment. My name is Jane Evio, and I'm the head of customer success here in ezyCollect. And today I have here Mr. Nicholas Cooper. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Well, Jane, very well, very well. Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me on the call, I'm CFO of ezyCollect, and I share a lot of the sort of similar pain and frustrations as yourself. So I guess that's probably why I was a good candidate to sit on this call.
Exactly. Perfect candidate for me to interview and, to express all the pain points from the other side of our clients. We talk to a lot of our accounts team, accounts receivable team, CFO, financial controllers, and we also have our own team here in ezyCollect sharing the same pain. And so we make a lot of, amazing features that hopefully, our team tests first, and then we roll it out to all our clients. So today, just some housekeeping rules. Again, this is a listen-only webinar. I know you've already listened to our banter, Nick and I,
Sorry
earlier
about
on, but you'd hear more of that. So please feel free to jump into any of our conversations through the chat. So we have a separate chat one, and then we also have the Q&A where you can pop in your questions, and we'll go through that, whether it's at the end of the presentation or throughout the presentation, throughout this one. Yes. Obviously, this is being recorded, so our banters have already been recorded, and we will actually share this with you after the session ends. Obviously, if any questions that you think of that you weren't able to ask, feel free to send it over to us, and we'll be happy to answer that. Also, just to make sure that you guys can hear us and everyone can hear us here, because maybe we're just talking and no one can hear us, right? If you can just quickly chat in the webinar chat box where you are joining from today. Are you joining from Brisbane, where I'm currently at, or are you joining from Sydney? Are you joining, maybe somewhere else? Maybe you're somewhere,
Hamilton Island,
home,
maybe.
or
For those lucky, I don't know if there's
Hamilton
any.
Island or Cook Islands.
Yeah.
People have been holidaying there. Or maybe you're just in the comfort of your living room. Please let us know. We'd really love to hear. Hi, Grace from Melbourne. Anyone else there? And if you don't want to share your secret location, we're also going to launch a little poll just shortly. Nick is going to put that up as
I'll
we
launch that.
start talking about the agenda. Yeah,
Exactly. I
over to
will
you,
launch
Nick.
it. Thanks, Jane. So the poll should have just popped up. And we're just wanting to know what sort of type of form does your business use when you're customer onboarding or within your credit applications? There's many different formats, as we know out there. There's a lot of, hey, we just capture it on a, it could be from a napkin right through to, we have an automated form and feature, right? There's a myriad of options and use cases for all sorts of things. But it'd be good just to know what everybody out there is using. So if you can drop those in, that would be great, because it gives us an idea of where you're at, where you're situated, and it maybe help us sort of tailor some of the messaging as we kind of work through the session today. So the agenda, whilst everyone's getting that filled out. So we're going to just quickly recap on the common pain points of customer onboarding. Like, why do we think it's a good idea to have a process and some forms and some automated forms and workflow forms in that case to smooth out that onboarding process. And then Jane's going to jump into a demo of what we've got and how we've enhanced the credit applications feature within ezyCollect to really kind of take it to the next level. We're going to talk a little bit more then around capturing payments and the benefits of that at the back end of that onboarding piece. And then we'll just sort of recap on takeaways and do some Q&As. And we've got a little bit of a special offer just at the end of that for those who are listening on the session today in terms of taking up that new feature. I can see Kevin has raised his hand, or he may be saying hi. I'm not too sure. If Kevin, you want to pop your question in the box, if that is a question, please do. Fantastic. So just looking at it through, we've got half are using PDF forms, which is good because it's captured, it's secured, you can store that down. But then sort of how are you using those forms? Are they sort of, they're PDF, but they're printing them, they're writing on them, then they're scanning them and sending them back? Is it a seamless end-to-end process, or is it just a, hey, we've got at least a standard format which we know we've captured it, but maybe there's still some automation there to be kind of that'll be done. About 44% are looking at online or digital forms, which is great. So that's fantastic. Something
good,
maybe perhaps
yeah.
like what we've got. No one's doing ad hoc,
Mhm.
which I think is an even better result because maybe sometimes that does still happen out there, shockingly, but that's hopefully less and less. And then 11% are still undecided and are planning. So, i.e., they're looking at what can be done. So, I'm guessing there are potentially some new customers, or like I say, someone who is looking at the product for the first time today. Great. All right.
Yep.
So maybe we should get into it
Okay.
then.
Yep. Oh, and we do have a webinar exclusive offer. I think you mentioned that, Nick.
I
So
did.
this one, moving on, is really like I want to just pick Nick's brain in
Yep.
terms of what really are the common, why do we need this process? What are the pain points if we don't have this customer onboarding when we acquire? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so I did this just quickly, like as I was talking it through with Jane over the last couple of days, is like, why did some people even do like, why do we need a process for this? We've been capturing this information without any troubles beforehand, but actually there's some key, as I said, there's obviously a myriad of reasons, but the four main ones from my perspective are from a business, we need to reduce risk. So, and if we can capture the correct information succinctly up front, and understand the customers that we're onboarding, we can greatly reduce the risk of us onboarding potentially a fraudulent customer, or a bad paying late, bad debt customer. And that's through some of the credit scoring and other information that you can have if you have a really robust customer onboarding piece. So reducing that risk to your business, I think, is like paramount for me, and that's something we always look to do when we're trying to enhance our own processes here. Improving the customer experience. I mean, these could be reversed, depending. This is from a customer. This is the first touch point, most likely with the kind of the core business. So after something may have been sold, sales guys have done their work. The onboarding is actually kind of when they really know I guess the rubber hits the ground, and they're going to really seeing the business and your business and how it operates. So having a slick and fantastic onboarding process really helps give elevates your level of trust within that new customer, and it really just makes it really a great process for them from the outset. So I think it's important. Sorry, Jane.
Absolutely. I just need to say something about that, Nick, because like in ezyCollect, like we have one business entity, actually two now, but imagine like bigger companies, right? And I heard this from other clients that they have to fill in not one but 10 PDF forms, and imagine those PDF forms could be like 15 pages each. So prospects and customers get bored halfway and they're like, why do I have to do this 10 times when it's the same information again and again, right? How can we streamline that? It starts from the beginning, right? You want to improve that experience. You don't want to waste their time, but also not yours as well, right? Your time is very precious. So we're going to make sure that there's a good experience and good balance on both ends, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that sort of feeds into this next one. There's compliance requirements that we need to make. So if you're capturing 15 forms and you're just kind of like storing them in your D drive, your G drive, and how secure is that? Now, what's with all this info security issues that I've had here locally, but then you go into the US, SOC compliance requirements. There's GDPR in Europe. The way we kind of capture that information and use that for when we're onboarding, and then what we do with it afterwards is super important. That's one arm of compliance. And then there's the other arm, which is there any regulatory activity we need to do and report outside? So from a payments perspective, it might be AusTrack. Who are we dealing with? Who are the people we're onboarding to our platforms and our systems that we need to kind of stay across and report regularly to authorities? That's something which, again, if you're not capturing this information up front, it then becomes very hard to, and it's a big overhead to the operation side of the business. And then lastly, reducing bottlenecks. So this is something we'll get to around, and we think that the payments is a real enabler of this. But if you can capture all the information you need right up front when you've got the customer engaged and client engaged, and you're not sort of having to drip feed and collect bits and pieces along the way. The last thing is most of the time is, hey, let's get you set up for billing, right? That's that the customers kind of they're on, they're transacting. They're, oh yeah, I'll get the card details. It's kind of the last thing sometimes to get done. So anything you can capture up front when you've got their attention helps like ease those any bottlenecks to getting them set up and active at the end. So that was the first. That was the four that kind of came to mind. There are many more. But yeah, even with a great process, right? there's a bunch of pain points. Because a process may not be automated, it may not be a workflow, seamless end-to-end process. So, what I sort of did here is I sort of put my hat on and said, okay, like under these sort of 5 broad buckets, but both from a customer or client perspective and a business perspective, what is the pain that can present within those? So, firstly, documentation. When we're getting, say, payment applications and other things we were risk reviewing, it's, sometimes historically, not so much anymore because we've got our great tools, but it would come in the wrong format, or it's not usable for our standards that we need to in order to onboard. And so there's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of time wasted, a lot of business kind of saying, well, I've given you my details. Oh, we need it in color, not in black and white. So from a business perspective, like, we're chasing. Yeah, sorry, Joan.
And also just like indicating really which ones are mandatory, right? If it's really crucial to the application process, then with our current application form, you can make it mandatory and clearly outline that, right? So then you don't have to like, okay, I've just finished this online app and then go back again and have to send some stuff. Yeah. So trying to make it just as simple as possible, really.
That's it. Yeah. And that's the sort of the flip side then on the customer space. Like, oh, I'm getting excessive requests. They keep asking for, I give one thing and then there's another that they need and another that they need. Now, sometimes that is, if you're trying to understand the ultimate beneficial owner of certain entities, sometimes you need further documentation. You can't be aware of that up front, but by and large, you do know probably within 95% of cases what the core documentation you need in order to safely and securely onboard them, and so therefore you can get that up front. Compliance, I sort of talked about. How do you verify? And this is an important one from business. Like, how do businesses understand, like, say, the creditworthiness of that new client who's put in that massive order? How do I understand that I'm dealing with a good business that I know there's going to be a long-standing customer relationship with them, and I can extend credit terms, or I can make some sort of payment arrangements with them moving forward. That's I think for me is really important. How people get to that and the process to do that is really wild and varied, isn't it? And like we've seen a huge amount of different formats and techniques to be able to do that. But I think that's important from a business perspective. Customer side, it's like, well, why do you need all this information? Well, I'm going to be paying you money here. Just again, it's another frustration point if it's not clearly articulated why and what you need and sort of what's the outcome. It's often multi-stepped. So, it's like I sort of touched base on before from a bottleneck perspective. There's, you onboard them, but then there's a whole separate process to get them up and billing. Because hey, we've set you up from an operational perspective now, but the billing team's got a whole nother raft of forms that we need to do. And yeah, sorry about that. There's a bit of overlap, but just we don't share documentation between us, so therefore you need to supply it all again. It's so disconnected and such a bad experience for the customer. So you really, as much as you want it to be able to have that as one sort of end-to-end process.
Yeah. Again, streamlining, right, Nick? That's the key word.
So super important. Approvals. So again, sometimes these things they're not workflow. So it's your maybe account exec or whoever you're dealing with from the business collects all that information, bundles it into an Excel spreadsheet with some answers, attaches some stuff, sends it to a boss on email. He looks at it, puts it into his to-do pile to look at later. It sits waiting to get approved, and just it just takes an age. Whereby having sort of a system which can automate those workflows and get those approved and reviewed with all the correct information. Not missing. Maybe Johnny was really good at putting his stuff together, but he didn't attach them on critical bits of information, and so therefore it goes around the house. It's just open to I guess prolonging the onboarding experience. And then security concerns are something, it has died down a little bit. I don't think we've had any security breaches for a while, but obviously we don't need to go back too far to think about Optus and Medibank and all the other issues where you know, if you're holding and collecting customer information to onboard them, you know, how do you keep that secure? How do you make sure that what you're doing is compliant with, you know, industry and you know, you're not opening yourself up? So, yeah, that's spent a little bit more than I sort of wanted to on that, but I think all of that is kind of the pain points that we have or customers exhibit with, you know, the onboarding processes today. So, I think that is a good point for us to then potentially jump into a bit of a demo of what we see as an opportunity around the credit applications piece, and the way what we can do, what the enhancement Jane and the team, the dev team have done around collecting payments and effectively starting to build out that kind of really seamless onboarding process for you and your customers. So let's jump in.
Absolutely, yeah. I think let's go into that one. I think just to quick note here, though, that in ezyCollect, we've had what we call credit applications, online credit applications for quite some time now. So this is not something new. But what is new is that we understand, like, not every businesses have this different requirements, right? Nick has mentioned a lot of pain points here. Some will apply to you, some will apply to others, and then others will have different pain points. So for example, we've heard some customers who do not need to do credit risk checks because they deal with consumers rather than businesses, right? So then how do we make our application forms effective for them as well as it's effective for B2B? So I'll show you actually two different application forms, and obviously these are all online, so it's so easy to share and again tailor for your needs and your requirements. So I'm just going to exit this presentation slide and I'll go jump into one of our credit application forms. Nick, just let me know that I am sharing the right window and you can see the credit application form.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I actually have two here. So what I'll do is I'll share this one first. This is our standard credit application form. So this is, again, tailored for B2B. As you can see on the top, it has those different fields or parts wherein it's very crucial for any B2B. So if anyone applying for credits, we find that, you know, asking for director details, trade references, and then we talk about documents and uploading all that such happens into the credit application. So that's already covered into our credit application form. Now we can also simplify this, and that's what I'll show you in a more detailed one, just because, okay, I'm dealing with, let's say, students, I'm dealing with individuals, right? And they don't have ABNs, they don't have any of these. How do we onboard them, right? Of course we can. Now, using our online application form, you can then tailor that. So this is just a quick example. So maybe it's just a small business, but you want to ask very little information because you don't want to bore your process, right? But you just need like at least the basic information from your end. So just very quickly on this one is, you know, again, if you're dealing with a small business and you just need to ask this, so I'm just using ezyCollect as an example here. All of these fields are completely customizable. You know, what do you want to ask from your prospects? We can easily populate it, or you can, again, tailor it to what you need. Just going to go through this. So let's say I'm requesting for 10,000 credit limit. Yep. Just going to put test here just for demo purposes. And then again, like this is just demo purposes. So you can also contact me, but this is not my real number. I can pop in my real number later. Yeah. But what I'm about to show you here is, again, this part wherein you can capture the payment details from the very onset. Now, obviously, you need to explain to your prospects why you're doing this, so you can have some simple wording there. You know, you can even ask the questions whether you want to make it mandatory or not mandatory, right? But what happens here is that we can already identify whether the prospect is providing you a real card. Obviously, this one is not real, but in the actual credit application, we can verify whether we can accept that credit card or not. Same concept as to how it is if you are using ezyCollect payments today. If you are surcharging these fees, then it will already show up here in your application form. So this is what we call it. They are providing you a direct debit authority, right? An open direct debit authority based on your agreement. So again, and as you can see, it automatically verifies that and it encrypts and locks that card. If they want to send a new information, they can just reset this, right? So this is crucial because I understand some of our clients, they want to do this before they even place an order, or this is one of the things that's really important for the businesses. Another thing that I've heard is that when you ask them to provide payment authorization, you can actually say, hey, we'll extend your credit limit, or we'll extend your credit terms, right? Giving you an extra 5 days. So that is another incentive that you can put in this credit application form, or in this online application form, say by signing up to, DDA or payment authorization, we'll extend your credit terms by 5 days. If you are only providing 14 days, then you've given them another 5 days, right? Yeah, we do need, I just had a question here that popped from Bradley, so I'm just going to answer this live. Yeah, we can definitely, today we can customize this for you. So what we do is we have a CSM that will sit down with you and look at all these fields, how you use that, right? Today it's not shown in the UI, but we have a tool in the back end where we can design this for you and work with you on your customized requirements. Yep. So depending on the flow, Brad, definitely have a chat with myself or one of our CSMs and we can work with you on this, or our sales team. Yep. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, like I said, what I'm showing you here is just a 4-step, but if you look at this other one, there's like 5 steps, right? So it could be, you could have 10 steps, you can have 5 steps. I think for our finance team, they only needed 3 or 4 steps, Nick, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we've definitely customized it for our team as well.
Yeah. But we go through that part that we sort of skipped over it briefly there, but we come to the payments is that, we collect all those that required documentation. And then, but the important part is then right at the end, we capture that authority to direct debit so that we know that we can bill that customer when everything's all ready to go and set up. So it's, for us, there's that sort of peace of mind that once we've done our work and we've invoiced, that we can collect that. So it's, I think, part of doing business is being really open and transparent about how we're that we want to work with people and businesses, and we're saying, look, hey, we will, if you sign up in our terms, we will give you some incentives, but it's about doing it so that we can then collect the monies that's due. It's a great format.
Yeah. And yes, like I said, Bradley, get in touch with us. We can definitely work with you. You can have a simple change or a very complex one that we'd sit down and work with you on that one. I did have a question here that came up again. Can we absorb the fees? Absolutely. So for my example, that's if you are surcharging the fees, we will display the fees. If you are absorbing those fees, then they will not appear in the form at all, right? So again, it looks like you're not charging anything, which is what it is. You're absorbing all those costs for them. Yep. And then again, you put your terms and conditions and everything else, and then they just signed this. And what's one thing that I got asked here is that how do we know that this is actually that they're authorized signing this one? And you can actually advise your customer that, hey, we keep a record of your IP address as well. And that, by signing this with your name and your email, that's actually verified into that one. Yeah. So that's how the credit application works. Now, what do you do after this, right? Because you've now received the application form with a payment authorization, and they're not a customer yet. So we all know that in ezyCollect, they will only show once you create the customer record. But first and foremost, what you want to do is, I've just switched to your ezyCollect file. So if you had a credit application, we do have this section where you can just manage everything in one place, again, in ezyCollect, a credit application. So from my example there, you can see that it was ezyCollect who was applying for that credit, right? And from here, you can do the process of the application form. For this one, obviously, you can actually, we'll automatically check credit scores. You can see the same information that was provided earlier and so forth. If you want to see the credit score, it will appear there if any credit reports. If there were any documents provided, again, they will all be collated in one go here, as you can see. So again, having it all in one place, streamlining, that's the key. But finally, if you then finalize this one, so let's say you've approved the 10,000 limit, and if you then extended the 5-day term, let's say we're doing 21 days credit term, the notes here are just, again, for internal purposes. All good to approve a credit application. So that's fine. And then the next thing is you need to create that customer record in your ERP. And after that, you have to sync it into ezyCollect. So to be able to see that you've acquired the direct debit of that specific customer, you will also have a section here where you can see direct debit mapping. And I have 2 examples here, but we'll focus on the latest one that I did, which shows there direct debit is, Jane, if you're ezyCollect and everything else, we'd actually suggest, automatically suggest where it matches that customer from the ones that you've created in ezyCollect, and that has synced from your ERP. And from then you can just confirm mapping. What this does, it asks you to double check the business number that was submitted from the application form and from the one in ezyCollect, just to make sure it's all aligned, right? Because you want to make sure that you're tying that payment authorization to the right customer, right? So you don't need to send a direct debit request from after you've created it, because it's already tied up into this credit application or this online application form. Continue, you confirm, and that will just be done in seconds, really. It must be my internet, but yeah, it's done there. So again, you can see that it's already mapped. And if you jump into that customer record, I know I'm going 100 miles here, so please stop me if I'm going too fast. But what's really important here now is that you've acquired the direct debit, and that's within ezyCollect, right? What do we do with that now? So many things that you can do with that. If you are familiar with our payment suites, you obviously have auto collect. Well, it will just collect the payments on the due date of the invoice or on the scheduled time of the month, whether it's the end of the month or the first of the month. That's totally up to you. We can help you configure that. Alternatively, the easiest thing is, like, if you've created an invoice at the same time that you sync that new customer, you can just click collect now. And then there you go. Payment is collected and it's done. So that means you are the one initiating the payments. You're not waiting for your customer to make payments. And if this is a crucial rule for your business, which for some, before they even send goods or they even let you hire any goods, they want to make sure that payments are done on the spot, right? So by having this from the beginning of the process, I can take payments right away, and I can confidently say, hey, yeah, you can take the goods for now, and all done. Like, that's good. Yeah. So hopefully that's very clear and useful. But just to have a quick recap here, I'm just going back to our wonderful slides. So just going back on a quick summary of what I've shown, is that essentially you want to capture or have the ability to capture payment authorization from the beginning. So we are embedding this on our customer credit application form. So let us know if you already are using one of our forms. We can actually add this. If you don't have it yet, please let us know, and we'll customize the forms for you with this already in place. Then it's really important still to remember to create that customer record in your ERP and then sync that to ezyCollect so that you can match that. You have full control to make sure that you are actually associating that payment authorization to the right customer. And my favorite part is that you are initiating the payment, right? You are not waiting for your customer to make the payments. You have full control. You are also not going to block sending any goods or services because you've already have their authority to take payments as you issue a sales order or issue invoice as well, and it doesn't interrupt any goods and services there, right? So yeah, that's just sort of like a whole summary on this one. Nick, is there anything else you want to add to this one? I think there is a side where we can talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you've captured, and the whistle stop tour done in world record time. So well done, Jane. I mean, this is just the last slide, and it really just encapsulates what we've talked about. But there is such a huge benefit of moving processes from PDF forms into online. And like I say, it's not only from the ability to kind of invoice and capture payment quicker and reduce your DSOs, but also just kind of covering off kind of all those business risks and compliance requirements that may sit out there as part of your business operation. So look, we won't dwell on this too much, but I think we'll jump into the offer because we're 2 minutes over time. But yeah, I think that was great, Jane. That was really good.
Yep. Thank you. Cool. Yeah, like I said, one of our attendees here just mentioned about customizing the forms. I think that's really important. Like I said, we know from experience that not one size fits all. And so that's why all our CSMs and our sales teams are equipped to actually go through this with you and understand your requirements. We've had someone come to us where, again, I use that example in the beginning. They had 10 PDFs, right? And now they just have one. And we've captured every single requirement possible needed for that to simplify it. And so they don't need to switch to 10 multiple credit application forms. They just use one. And their sales team is very happy. Their finance team is very happy for this one. So we want you to experience the same thing pretty much when having this. So that's why we've we have a special offer for you. If you don't have credit applications or online applications form yet, contact us today. Contact any of our CS team or our sales team, and we throw in some discounted rates there for the first 3 months. And obviously you'll have the free payment authorization. Just make sure you sign up to ezyCollect payments, because that works for ezyCollect payments, as I've completely shown you on credit cards. Yeah. Do you have any other questions there that we haven't answered, Nick? Or do we go through it well?
No,
the webinar.
One. Will there be a link available to give our customers to take credit card application on the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Actually, Andy, it will just be if you have the credit application, then we'll embed the payment. So we'll create a tab for that. So again, speak to your CSM where you want to put that. And then moving forward, anyone that you onboard using the credit application form, they'll have that payment authorization as part of it already. Yes. But if they're already a customer and you just want to send a direct debit, you can also do that within the platform today. Yes. So we've covered from the beginning of the process all the way to when they're a customer, or if they just simply want to change, the payment details that they have with you today, you can resend them something again. Yes. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. If you think of anything else, I think I'm really trying to finish this off. So thank you so much all for staying with us for an extra 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's been great, Nick. Anything else that you want to say?
No, if any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Brad's getting payments set up as you speak, and I saw in the chat box. So Brad, any issues, reach out straight away. Yeah, we can sort you guys out. It is, as I said, it is game changing once you can get this set up and automated. It's really great.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool.
Once again, thanks everyone, and hope you have a great day and great week.
Cool.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jane. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Nick. Bye.